Well, it's award season again. By the time this video is out, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards will have finished up their week of voting. Last year, I made a video about notable canon or hinted couples in anime that were left off the list for Best Couple. And this year, the ballot for that one is... well, I'm gonna have to do it again. Seriously, I thought having community-nominated judges was supposed to fix the voting options. While last year's nominees all clearly deserved their nods, this year the options seemed a little phoned in. And besides, I thought they were going to try and keep the same award from going to the same show year after year now. But just as I did last year, I'll go through some options that I think should have been on the ballot for 2021. Now, I won't include movies this year because while that could easily take up all 6 slots, Crunchyroll has doubled down on their decision from last year to cut movies out of the awards entirely. Sorry. But for TV anime, here are a few choices. Number 5, of course, being my final pick from last year. Really? Again? You're going to snub Kyo and Toru from Fruits Basket again. The celebrated shoujo romance got a second season of its remake last year, with the 2 leads going through more trouble with Kyo's messed up family and Toru's worries that she doesn't belong. Now, granted, this season covered more of the Soma family's interactions with each other and Toru's relationships with the minor characters, and there is going to be a 3rd season this year, so I can see why Toru and Kyo didn't get on the ballot, but if they're not on next year, I swear. 4 is a show not many people watched, but I have to shout it out again. Richard and Seiki from The Case Files of Jeweler Richard. One's a mysterious gentleman with a criminal past, the other's an earnest bisexual good boy. They solve mysteries, until the mystery becomes, why did Richard suddenly leave Seiki, and why does he feel so bad about it when he's still crushing on someone else, and why will he go to any lengths to save him from being forced to marry a stranger and offer to marry him himself? Yeah. Every time you worry it might just be bait, the show goes further, and apparently it's got nothing on the original light novels. These two will stop at nothing to keep each other safe, and the optimist and pessimist dynamic is kind of sweet in its own right. I'm also surprised Subaru and Emilia from ReZero didn't end up on the ballot, but that might just be a consequence of not wanting to take off the Subaru and Rem fans. But Subaru's character development this season has really pushed him forward with trying to become a better person for Emilia's sake as well as his own. He works to prove himself so that she can depend on him, even though he's still forced not to tell her or anyone else the truth, and they continue to grow closer as the series goes on. Maybe they just didn't get nominated because the season isn't done yet, somehow. I'm still not sure why the currently airing ReZero is Season 2 Part 2 and not just Season 3. Something else I'm not sure about is why the Love Live franchise is consistently snubbed in every category every single year. It's wildly popular after all, and the series that aired in fall, Nijigasaki, is the best Love Live season by far. It also gave us Ayumu and Yu, childhood friends who always veer this close to being a couple without actually going for it. Until Ayumu mistakes Yu for dating Setsuna, and fearing she's being replaced, gives a desperately possessive love confession. Thankfully, Ayumu gets some sense talked into her before she goes full yandere, and the two of them reconcile closer than before. But it's not just the ship. Love Live belongs all over this award show, and the fact that it's a no-show yet again is confusing at best. At this point, I have to give a few short honorable mentions. Keiji and Mion from Higurashi Go. Ao and Mira from Asteroid in Love. Eri and Mina from If My Favorite Idol Made It to the Budokan I Would Die. And while I haven't yet seen my teen romantic comedy Snafu, I've seen the massive outcry that Hachiman and Yukino weren't nominated for Best Couple, and on that alone I ought to include them. But the most blatantly robbed couple of the year has to be the title characters from Fall's Adachi and Shimamura. This was a sweet, endearing, slow-burn love story, and though the fanservice sometimes got a little distracting, that doesn't mean the show or the ship should be ignored. Adachi is a delinquent who feels lost until she starts to fall in love with her classmate, and while the two of them haven't officially gotten together by the end of the season, neither have half of the couples on the actual ballot. Adashima was robbed by not having a single nomination this year, and especially by not being in this category. If you have an explanation for that, let me know, because I sure don't. As we all know, opinions on fictional characters' love lives are some of the most contentious things on the internet. I'm sure you have your own thoughts on what should or shouldn't have been included in the Best Couple category this year. Let me know in the comments what you would have nominated and what you ended up voting for. This is Secret Identity Studio, and as great as pairing Katarina with Maria is, I think the Baccarina rep should have just been the whole harem. But seriously, Crunchyroll isn't even the only award show that pretends Love Live doesn't exist. What's with that?